Hello all. In this video, I'll be dealing with the fundamentals of statistics. Now, before we proceed, you need to know the meaning of statistics itself. Statistics is the study of collection, organization, analysis, and interpretation of data. What happens? Sometimes we need to study the various data which is collected. So, what's the meaning of data in the first place? Data means a distinct piece of information in the form of fact, figure, collected or represented for any specific purpose is called data. For example, if I'm analyzing the heights of all the students of class 6, so suppose there are 40 students in the class. So each of that piece of information together they forms the data. Collection of the information, collection of the facts or figures forms the data. Now data are generally of two types, primary data and secondary data. Primary and secondary. There are two kinds of data. Primary data is the data collected by the person from any first-hand experience for an explicit use or purpose. The person who is studying the data himself is collecting that data. That's called the primary data. Whereas secondary data is collected by any third party for a different purpose other than the user who has collected the data. That's called secondary data. Now, in this video, I'll be dealing only with the ungrouped data because I'm just focusing on the basic fundamentals of statistics. We'll be dealing only with ungrouped data in this video. Now, you need to understand the meaning of raw data for this. Raw data means the data is whatever the data is collected, it is as it is. There's no change in the data and it is in the same format as it is collected. That's called raw data. For example, marks obtained by 10 students in a Sanskrit test, suppose. If I'm writing the numbers as and how they have been collected, simply like this, say 95, 73, 56, again say 57, 72, 10 marks I should get, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 80 and say 23. So this is the raw data. Okay. Now, we also draw frequency distribution table for the raw data because suppose one mark gets repeated many times. So, instead of writing that number so many times, we mention the frequency of that particular data. So, we construct a frequency distribution table for studying such kind of data. Frequency distribution. So, what's the meaning of frequency basically? It is a number of times the item comes in the table, right? So when the number of items is large, then we can convert it into a tabular form, which is called the frequency distribution table, right? So, and for putting them, the data can be put into a frequency distribution table. Now, suppose, we also use tally marks in the frequency distribution table. How do we use why do we use tally marks? Because that gives a person is able to understand the frequency instantly when they look at it. For example, if somebody has got 11 marks, suppose, so we can write in numbers also in the frequency distribution table as well as we use the tally marks. So how do we show 11? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. This is how it's shown using tally marks. So I'm just touching upon these basic ideas, and since we are dealing only with ungrouped data over here, now I'll be discussing how do we calculate the mean, median and mode of ungrouped data. Now, there are three basic measures of central tendency. Now, what is the meaning of the measures of central tendency? It's to make all the study of data useful. We need to use measure of central tendencies. Means we're able to understand how the data is. It's all the study of data. So, mean, median and mode. These are the three basic measures of central tendency. Now, what is mean? Let's focus on mean first. Mean is basically the average of the number of observations. Now, it is calculated by dividing the sum of the values of the observation by the total number of observations. And it's denoted by a letter like this. So, mean is given by, suppose you have collected n observations. If we refer to the previous example, marks of 10 students in Sanskrit we had collected. So, you simply have to add all the 10 marks and divide that by 10 because That is the observation of 10 students. So mean of n values, how do we get? We have to add up all these values, x1 plus x2 till xn divided by n. This is how we find mean. So formula for this is what? Formula for calculating mean is sum of all the observations by total number of observations. This is how we calculate mean for the ungrouped data. Okay. Now mean of group data without class interval. There is no class interval, but we have drawn a frequency distribution table. So in that case, what do? We multiply each of the values with the frequency, with the corresponding frequencies, like x1 into f1 plus x2. Suppose x2 value is occurring f2 number of times. So x2 plus f2, so on and so forth. Xn is suppose occurring fn number of times. We need to multiply all of them and divide by the sum of all the frequencies, f1 plus f2 plus up till fn. Okay. Now actually, with the help of an example, I can show this to you. Suppose if you make a frequency distribution table like this, xi, fi and fi, xi. You have to make one more column like this over here. Suppose the value 20 is occurring 40 number of times. So instead of adding 20, 40 number of times, you can easily multiply these two and get xi, fi. Right? So this saves our time and makes the calculation easier when we are dealing with a large number of data, huge collection of data. So this is what we do. Now suppose the number 40 is occurring 60 number of times. So what do? 60 times 40, we multiply them and we put them under this column. Suppose 60 is occurring 30 number of times. So again we need to multiply these two, we get xi, fi. Then suppose 80 is occurring 20 number of times, or say 50 number of times. So we get this value over here. And suppose 100 is occurring 20 number of times. So we get 2000 over here. And then we calculate sigma fi, which is 200. When we add all of these, we see that we are getting 200. Okay. And we add sigma fi xi. We add fi's and xi's, we get sigma fi xi. Sigma stands for summation. And when we add all of them, we get, say, 11,000. Means how much are we getting? 11,000 over here. And so the mean in this case, which is denoted by x bar, will be equal to sigma fi xi divided by sigma fi, which is equal to 11,000 by 200, which gives us 55, right? Next we come to the concept of median. So this is how we calculate mean. Now median is the middle value of the given number of observational paths. Median is the middle value of any set of observations. If the number of observations is odd, if we have odd number of observations, then the median will be n plus 1 by 2th observation. Suppose we have odd number of observations, then there will be only one middle term. We need to arrange the data in the ascending order first. Okay. Now suppose we have this data 6, 7, 10, 12, 13, 4, 8 and 12. We have to find the median of this. So first we'll arrange them in the ascending order. 4, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 12 and 13. Sorry. And how many observations are there? Over here we can see that the number of observations are how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If there are 8 number of observations, there will be 2 middle observations, right? We don't get one single middle observation. So in this case, what do? We take the middle 2 observations and divide them by 2. So median in this case will be 8 plus 10, the 2 middle observations divided by 2, which gives you 9. In terms of n, how can we understand this? We have to find the n by 2th observation and the next observation. That means n by 2 plus 1th observation. You have to take these two observations and then divide them by 2 to calculate the median. Okay, this is when there are even number of observations. But when there are odd number of observations, there will be only one middle value. For example, suppose you have a certain collection of data as you have a set of numbers as 3, 5, 5, 4, 8 and 9. We are supposed to calculate the median of this. The data has been arranged in ascending order. There is only one middle observation, fifth observation. So the median in this case will be equal to 5. So that's how we calculate median for ungrouped data. And what's the meaning of mode? Next we come to mode. Mode is the value of the observation which shows the most frequently occurring value. Okay, the number that occurs most frequently, that is called the mode. So for example, if the following data is given to you: 15, 20, 22, say 25, 30, 20, 15, 20, 12, 20. We can see over here that 20 is occurring maximum number of times. 1, 2, 3, 4 number of times. It occurs the maximum number of times. So mode will be equal to 20. So this is how we calculate the measures of central tendency, mean, median and mode for ungrouped data. And for understanding how do we calculate these for the group data, you can refer to my other videos. Thank you so much.